So why is it that some people are just amazing at connection while others struggle? If you're like me, I struggled with connection. I found it very disheartening and very frustrating. But in today's society now, we have all these new advanced social connection tools that's generating large amounts of opportunities for us to connect, to intersect, to collide, both in the physical world and even more now in the digital world. And what it's doing is it's putting our connection skills to the test. It's putting our emotional connection skills to the test. As we continue to encounter people all walks of life, all different varieties, different languages, different cultures, different ethnicities, different ideas, different opinions, and different beliefs. And these social connection tools are generating large amounts of connections, almost abnormal amounts of connections. But to use them as a means to connect at a more deeper, more meaningful level, it's BS. Tony Robbins said this best in his last TED Talk. He said, human beings only need two things, connection and love. People settle for connection because love is too scary. I believe that. But I also believe that people simply don't know how to connect. They don't know how to connect at a more deeper, more meaningful level. But there's people out there that know how to do this. And if you're one of those people that do know how to do this, you need to teach those of us who don't. Let me tell you why this is so important. In order to better understand yourself, you need to be able to understand other people. In order to better understand other people, you need to better understand yourself. So it's this symbiotic relationship where we actually need each other in order to grow, in order to learn, in order to understand, in order to appreciate. We have to connect. And people want to connect, just don't know how. So what does this have to do with technology? What does this have to do with software? What does this have to do with coding, and why do you care? Well, let me tell you a little bit something about software. Software has this amazing characteristic because it's digital, and it has this amazing ability to connect to millions and millions of people all around the world. It has this amazing ability to connect to millions of emotional people all around the world. And software, if it's done right, people use it a lot. So it has this kind of time characteristic where it almost has an opportunity to create a relationship. And then the best thing about software, if it's done right, it can respond to you, it can react to you, it can suggest. And good software, let me correct myself, great software has the ability to evoke an emotion. So we think those are the characteristics of how you build great software. So how do you do this? How do you build great software? Well, we think we figured out the formula. It's pretty simple, actually. In order to build great software, you have to build great people. In order for you to be able to have software that can evoke an emotion, you have to have people who understand how to evoke emotion in their own lives so that they can put that into code. So we teach our engineers emotion and connection skills so that they can better understand themselves, better understand other people, and then in turn put into code. Because who are we writing software for? We're writing software for people who respond to connection and emotion. So when you come to the company and you come to our team, our engineers learn 4 connection types, 4 connection levels. And since we're engineers, we don't start counting at 1, we actually start counting at 0. So there's some significance to that. Connection level 0 has no value, has no meaning. There's no risk. It's the kind of relationship where you maybe remember their name, you recognize their face, it's kind of hi-bye, it's cordial, maybe it's at the office or something like that. There's nothing past that. Anybody have those relationships? Facebook, maybe? The second one is connection level 2. Connection level 2, or connection level 1, sorry, next one's connection level 1, and that is when you begin to bond with that person based off of things that are similar. Things that you have in common, because people find comfort with those people that they have things in common with. So oftentimes when you're given advice on how to connect, they say, find something you have in common and connect on that. Some people believe, sad thing is some people believe that's the only connection type that exists, and some people never get past that connection level. The next one is connection level 2. And this is where you begin to bond with somebody based off of things that are dissimilar, things that are not in common. This is where you appreciate and understand things and like the things that are different about their beliefs and different opinions, and vice versa. This is the connection level where there's the most growth. Because in order to grow, you need to learn. In order to learn, you need to be around people with different ideas, different beliefs. And the last one is connection level 3. Connection level 3 is the holy grail of connection. This is where there's no more judging, you're accepted for all your hopes, your fears, your dreams, your flaws. This is where you can't do anything wrong. This is where the term unconditional love comes from. This is where best friendships are formed. But here's the catch. In order to get to this connection level, you have to be completely and totally vulnerable. You have to be completely and totally open. And you have to kind of do this together. It's a connection level of the greatest risk because this is where you're most exposed. But this is the connection level where people begin to draw their greatest power. This is where they get to draw their greatest emotional power to do their most significant things they've ever done before, to make their greatest accomplishments, to do their most significant life's work. It's the connection where you actually build fulfillment. So now that our engineers understand that there's 4 connection levels, those 4 connection types, we now start to go to work and we start teaching them and letting them understand that there's different levels and they can provoke emotion. So we ask them a couple of questions, and I'm going to ask you guys this afternoon. Think of all your friends, families, inner circles, outer circles, anybody that you interact with, and we ask them, and I'm going to ask you today, to apply a connection level to that relationship. Apply a connection level to that relationship. Now what we do is we ask our engineers and we say, is the connection level that you assigned the connection level that you want? Is the connection level that you assigned the connection level that you want? And if it is, great. You're actually good at connection. But if the answer is no, it's okay. We can fix that. Us as engineers, we believe we can fix anything. So similar to writing code, if you want a particular result, you can define an input, an output, and a set of series, patterns, steps, and procedures to get to that result. It's no different in connection. There's certain steps, procedures, and patterns to connect to level 1. There's certain steps, procedures, and patterns to connect to level 2. Get it? There's certain steps, procedures, and patterns to be able to connect to level 3. And so 8 times, 9 times out of 10, if you follow those particular steps, procedures, and patterns, you might get the result that you want. But what we're doing is we're teaching our engineers that they have the ability and the power to be able to evoke and manifest emotions in their own lives, but able to evoke and manifest emotions in code. Because you can't understand how to do that in code unless you can do it in your own lives. So once they understand that, once we feel they understand that, we go to work. We start building software, we start building our code, but we don't end there. As soon as we build the code, now we have to measure and score our code. We do it based off of 5 major principles. And we have a simple scoring system, 1 to 10, and we look for particular things within our software to make sure that it meets the quality before we ship it to the customer. So the first thing that we look for is the features and functionality score. Pretty simple, 1 to 10. Does the software do what it's supposed to do? The second thing we look for is the usability score. Can a 2-year-old use it? Can a 60-year-old use it without a lot of instruction? Third one is the design score. Does the design enhance the experience or does it destroy the experience? Fourth one is the social score. Does the technology allow itself for social collaboration and be able to live on social networks? And the last one is the emotional score. And this is the score that creates the biggest controversy in the office, because people will defend to the death why they feel the way they feel. What's significant about the emotional score is it forces the people, the engineers, to dig deep. It forces them to dig deep, deep inside, to apply a metric where no metric exists. It forces them to apply a metric where no metric exists. The human brain can process 40,000 thoughts per second. It's remarkable. But in that same given second, the heart, the mind, the body, the soul can only feel one emotion. So we have this rule. We have this, if the emotional score isn't greater than 6, we don't ship the product. If the emotional score isn't greater than 6, that means we failed to create a connection to the very person that is using our technology. And that's how we inject emotion into our software. So learning how to connect has really changed my life. When I was younger, I was one of those guys that wanted to be a superhero and have superpowers. And so my favorite superhero was Captain America. And if you know the story about Captain America, he was a person that was rejected by the military because he was weak and small. But he was actually selected for an experiment where they injected serum into all the major body parts in his body, and they put him into this chamber, and then they hooked up electricity into this chamber, and it ultimately transformed him into Captain America. The reason why I like this story is because he wasn't chosen for physical characteristics or for his brain. He was only chosen for one reason, and one reason only. He had a big heart. So when I was younger, I wanted to be Captain America. And as any adult, when you start to grow up, you start to realize there isn't any special serum that they can inject into your body to give you courage and power, at least not yet. And in my deepest, darkest moments in life, and I didn't know what to do with myself, and I was feeling unworthy and lost, somebody took the time to teach me about this connection. Somebody took the time to teach me about emotion. And I felt I was given a new power. This power to be able to harness and appreciate emotion and how to inject that into my life's work. And ever since then, I've been doing my best work. So if emotion is the key to better understanding yourself, if emotion is the key to better understand other people, if emotion is where you draw the biggest power to do your most significant things, if emotion is the glue for all connection, then you already have what it takes to be amazing. Because emotion is free. It doesn't cost anything. You already have what it takes because emotion is free. So now that you know there's 4 connection levels, now that you know there's actually a series of steps, procedures, and patterns that you can actually learn to affect those connections, and now that you know you can draw power from emotion, I challenge you to apply more emotion into your relationships and to apply more emotion into your life's work. I guarantee you, you won't be disappointed. I guarantee you, you won't be disappointed. Thank you.